Hey everybody, thanks so much for taking some time again. Uh, the last video was the discussion, the focus. Here are my responses to the reflection questions. Again, I invite you to participate. I know everybody wants to, share some of their thoughts and not just listen to me all the time. So please share your comments and your thoughts below on this. So we did chapters 2 and 3 this week, and so we're going to go through those discussion questions, those reflection questions. And again, please, jump in and share wherever you would like to. So what are some things that can contribute to the fear of the other? I think some of it's stereotypes, some of it is the lack of interaction with the other, whatever that means, however that is experienced. I think there's a lot in our world today of if we don't agree, we are automatically right and you're automatically wrong. And I think part of that is allowing ourselves to have some of those conversations and those opportunities. I grew up in the middle of nowhere in northern Pennsylvania, and we had the largest square mile school in all of Pennsylvania. One of the things we did get to do, though, was a group of us. We got connected to a school in England, and so we got to go over there for a week, and they sent youth over for a week. But some of our youth, some of the classmates that went with me, had never been out of our region until that point. 17, 18 years old, and had never been out of with an hour or so driving distance of where they were born and raised. So I think part of that is how can we foster opportunities to get to know others and to help diminish some of that fear. And maybe it's through connections of, well, I know this person and I know that person. But I'd be curious to see what your thoughts are, or some ways that we can, as a church, contribute to that. So what do you believe biblical justice consists of, and where does it originate? I think it originates from God, the author of life itself. And I think biblical justice throughout the Bible can be seen differently, but I think if we take the Bible and the story of it, the faith of it as all encompassing, I think it comes down to these 3 points of Micah of restorative justice, living compassionately, and walking in humbleness with God. And I think that because if we look at the entire Bible, it is a process of God working towards humanity, of bringing us closer to God, of restoring that, of working with us, of seeking to have humanity make that decision to have a closer relationship with God, and going from the fear and the violence to this unconditional love through Jesus, and mercy and grace and forgiveness, and new life in Christ. So I think there's a lot of that through the entirety of the Bible. And I think that's where, if we look at biblical justice, I think that's where it sort of swings to. And so how can faith communities become instruments of justice? I think this book study is a part of that. I think some of the discussions that we had in August, and that we will continue to have throughout this next year of adult faith formation, is part of that. I think being willing to challenge one another in our notions of justice and what that looks like, and finding ways to work together and live faithfully, even when we don't agree. When I was on internship, we would get together in clusters. So it would be the interns of a given area get together a couple of times a year during your internship here. And the one time we were out for this walk, and one of the supervisors said something that I still use today. She said that we don't have to see eye to eye to walk hand in hand. And I think that's really important for us to remember, is that we don't always have to agree. We don't always have to see the same way on an issue, but we can continue to walk hand in hand as siblings in Christ, and to engage the world around us. I did a lot of other questions over here. Is justice important in our faith? I believe it is. I believe it's central to working together and engaging with one another. Is it vital for us to be living into our world as part of our community? As justice? Absolutely. I think we need to strive for justice. And what does that mean? And how does that look like? And continually looking to find ways to serve and care for others in just ways and to lift up injustice, especially to not paint it in broad strokes sometimes, and then sometimes I think we need to paint it in broad strokes. Are there social responsibilities the church should hold firm in and engage in to challenge culture? I think so. I think the ELCA has worked through a lot of them. And I think part of that is the church is constantly reviewing those and seeing where God is calling us in our world today as our church changes culture and the world changes culture. And how do we respond to that change? And how do we engage in our social responsibility to care for others and to show grace and mercy to all people? What does it mean to faithfully respond to justice in our world today? Um, I think that's really powerful. I think being able to stand up peacefully when we see injustice, when we see it impacting our world today, and then crying out when necessary that it needs to change, and working, being avenues of change for that, to where we say this isn't right, but we can say that, but we have to go and here's what it should be, and working towards that and engaging those conversations and uplifting those conversations as we are able to, I think is vital for us as the church. So those are my answers to chapter 2, my reflections. Please feel free to comment on yours, and we're going to switch then to chapter 3. And it talks about compassion and living compassionately. So, how do you think Jesus tried to expand our understanding of who is our neighbor in the parable of the Good Samaritan? How did this contrast with a common understanding of most Jews in the first century? I'm going to answer the second one first. I think it contrasted because there was this underlying sense, and I think probably for good reason, of history. The Jews were often ostracized, often demoralized, beaten down, and so they had this fear of the other. And so when Jesus comes and talks about this person who is injured, and how what should have happened was the priest, the leader, those who were of faith should have responded in kind to that person, but didn't. So Jesus calls to the fact that this Samaritan, this other, was willing to show mercy, was willing to engage in compassion and live into that compassion far beyond what was expected of him. And to engage in this new relationship, I think is vital to understand for us, and important for us to embrace as well. Is that how do we see other people who we don't expect responding faithfully with compassion and mercy, and how can we continue to uplift and care for them and acknowledge that, irregardless of what their faith background is. And I think that's important for us to remember as well. So, how are we challenged by people who are new and different? Yeah, I think a lot. I think we're challenged when new people bring new ideas, when new people ask that simple question, why? Well, why do we do this? Why do we do that? Is our answer because we've always done it that way? Or is it a faith filled response? Or is it an opportunity to have some of those conversations as to maybe we can improve it, maybe we can shift it, maybe we can change it, or it's working really well. And I think challenge isn't always bad. It helps us look at things differently with new ways of seeing things, and that can either solidify us or help us be more malleable to to a future understanding or a new and different understanding. And I think it's important for us to recognize that. Sometimes those challenges are really different and difficult and new, and it really is a struggle for us. Other times, not so much, and it's something that we are able to connect with and grow through and be enlivened by. So, how are we enriched by strangers or outsiders who may become our friends? I think that's part of it too. I sort of answered them both. That they can offer us new perspectives and new understandings and excitement and joy, and even in that challenge, the opportunity to connect with each other and to be uplifted and strengthened for newness and hope in our world today. Um, so I think they can offer us a lot of newness and understanding if we are willing to see it and to be encouraged by it. And finally, what are ways that our homes, our country, and our places of worship can be more welcoming to those who are different? Um, I don't like the word welcoming, and here's why. Welcoming often means, at least to me, that we wait for someone. We wait for someone to come to us, and then we welcome them. Whether it's at church, they come in the door and we welcome them, or if we're out, or if we have a get together. If someone's visiting your house, think about this. um, if if someone's visiting your house, you wait to they come to the door and open it, and then you welcome them in, right? But what happens when your kid sees their grandparent or their best friend, or someone out? What do? They go running out, right? And they invite them in. Come on, come on, come on, come on in. So what what I see is welcoming. um, I really feel we need to be that inviting, that going out, that calling, as our mission statement says. Come. That's an invitation. Come on, come on, come experience this with me. Come learn with me. Come ask questions. Come be challenged with me, so that we may know the love of God, and so that we may share that love of God with other people. So I think that in and of itself can just be a way to be more inviting to people, is that we take it all of us take it on to invite people to experience what our church, what our faith, what our understanding has to offer. um, and and be challenged when we hear people who say, I got burned by religion, or this happened to me, or this is my story and why I really struggle with it. I think there is a lot of it out there, and part of it, we can't. Oh no, hey, I'm really sorry to hear that. I'm sorry that you got burned by a church. I'm sorry that that happened to you. That's really terrible. I hope it doesn't happen here, and I don't want it to. But I really think you would like this place, and I would like to walk with you as we do that. And I think it's as simple as that sometimes. And someone would say, "Oh, well, you're the pastor. It's simple," but but I think it can be as simple as that for others. Um, and it's opportunities for us to be engaged with one another, and to find ways to live compassionately with love and mercy for and with one another. So those are my reflections. I can't wait to hear your reflections on some of this, and how you experience it all. So thank you all for taking some time with me today, or whenever it is that you get to spend some time. And I look forward to hearing some of your responses, whether on video or written in. Take care, everybody. We'll see you soon. Bye.